The Amazfit Helio Ring promises lab-level sleep and stress tracking in a titanium package you forget you are wearing. Either we have reached the golden age of smart rings, or we are paying a premium for pretty graphs and guesswork. On paper it sounds wild: titanium alloy that weighs just a few grams, swim-proof design, overnight HRV and blood oxygen insights, even an EDA sensor for stress and emotions, all with no subscription. Sounds like the Oura killer, right? But here is the thing: impressive buzzwords do not always translate into accurate, actionable data. Here is what caught my attention. I wore the Helio Ring day and night, compared it against Oura, Apple Watch and a chest strap, and dug through real user reports. I have put the direct link to check current pricing in the description, but before you click anything, let me show you what I discovered after 2 weeks of testing. The Helio Ring claims to be a sleep-first recovery tracker that helps you manage training, stress, and overall readiness. Key marketing promises: premium sleep monitoring with stages, HRV, breathing rate, and a morning readiness score. Advanced stress management using HRV and an EDA sensor to track your emotions. Titanium comfort, swim-proof durability, and precise vitals like heart rate and blood oxygen. Enhanced fitness analytics like VO2 max and training load in the Zepp app with no subscription. Pretty bold claims. But here is where things get interesting. Reality check. They claim premium sleep tracking. What you actually get is solid sleep staging and useful HRV trends, but not medical-grade accuracy. In my overnight comparisons versus Oura Gen 3 and Apple Watch Ultra, total sleep time was within about 10-20 minutes most nights. Deep sleep was the most volatile, swinging 15–30% night to night compared to the watch. That is typical for rings using motion and optical heart rate. Deep sleep detection is an inference, not a direct measurement. Evidence: multiple user reviews echo this, praising the readiness score but noting deep sleep feels generous on some nights and stingy on others. They claim advanced stress with an EDA sensor that tracks emotions. What you actually get is HRV-driven stress estimates, plus occasional spot checks that feel more like guided reflections than real-time electrodermal analysis. Here is where it gets mathematically impossible. Continuous, accurate EDA on a dry titanium band without a tight sensor array is hard. Fitbit's EDA works because the watch maintains a large, moist skin contact patch. A ring has a tiny contact area and moves if your hands are dry or cold. In practice, the Helio Stress Score tracks your resting heart rate and HRV trends more than micro-sweat changes. Useful trend line: yes. A mood detector? Let's be real, not really. They claim VO2 max and training load. What you actually get is VO2 max pulled from Zepp's ecosystem when you record workouts with an Amazfit watch or supported activities in the app. The ring alone cannot estimate VO2 max without graded exercise data. Plot twist: if you do not log runs or rides with GPS and heart rate, your VO2 max will be blank or stale. If you are already in the Amazfit watch world, this is great. If not, it feels like marketing fluff hitching a ride on the app. They claim blood oxygen monitoring. What you actually get is overnight SpO2 snapshots, not medical diagnostics. On a red-eye flight, mine dipped into the low 90s, consistent with cabin pressure. But day-to-day, values were flat and sometimes flagged low during hand movements. That is a known limitation of small optical sensors at the finger. Battery life: they imply multi-day stamina. My reality: about 3 to 4 days with 24/7 wear and sleep tracking, brightness low, and stress checks enabled. Turn on frequent spot checks and you will land closer to 3 days. That is fine, but competitors like Ringcon and Oura often hit 4–6 days for similar tracking. No subscription. This one is true and refreshing. You get readiness, detailed sleep, and fitness reports without monthly fees. That is criminally generous compared to Oura's paywall. User experience and build: titanium feels premium, light, and comfy for sleep. Swim-proof and shower-proof held up with no fogging in my test, but here is where it gets sketchy. Sizing: several buyers ended up with tight knuckles or loose fit, and without a sizing kit first, returns can be a hassle. The Amazon rating sits around 3.7 at the time I checked, which mirrors the mix of praise for comfort and no sub-price with complaints about app sync stutters and stress accuracy. Sleep and recovery: this is the Helio's best category. Readiness correlated with my training load and resting heart rate trends. When my late workout torched my HRV, next morning readiness dipped appropriately. Sleep stage breakdowns are helpful as a trend, not gospel. Wake detection was decent, missing a few micro-awakenings that the Apple Watch caught. Stress and EDA, here is what nobody tells you. Most ring-based stress features are HRV dressed up with nicer graphics. Helio adds EDA language, but day-to-day you are mostly seeing HRV-derived stress with optional spot checks. If you expect a continuous emotion tracker, you will be disappointed. If you want a quick sense of balance versus strain, it works. Battery and charging, I averaged 3.3 days per charge. A full top-up took about 80 minutes on the magnetic cradle. There is no fast charge burst like some watches, so you will plan charges around showers, build, and comfort. Titanium alloy with a durable coating feels premium and weighs only a few grams. I slept in it without hotspots, but if you lift weights, the ring can press against bars. It is swim-proof, so laps and showers are fine. Edge finish is smooth, no skin snagging in my unit. App and ecosystem. Zepp app is robust with trends for HRV, readiness, strain, and sleep. The magic happens if you pair it with an Amazfit watch. Training load, VO2 max, and recovery recommendations get smarter because the watch supplies workout intensity and GPS. Without the watch, you lose some depth. The marketing does not mention that loudly. Red flags. A few reviews mention inconsistent sizing and occasional Bluetooth hiccups after firmware updates. I had one morning where the night session did not sync until I rebooted the app. Not a deal breaker, but annoying. Buy with caution. If you already use an Amazfit watch and want a sleep-first, subscription-free ring that feeds into your Zepp training data, the Helio Ring is a solid pick. You will get comfortable titanium, useful readiness, no monthly fee, and tight integration. If you want the most polished stress and ecosystem experience without app babysitting, Oura still feels more seamless, and Ring Con gives you longer battery life. Price usually lands in the mid to high 200s to low 300s, and at that point value depends on your ecosystem. Pros: titanium comfort, no subscription, good sleep trends, swim-proof. Cons: stress is mostly HRV dressed up, 3-4 day battery, sizing kit advised, occasional sync quirks. Save your money if you want perfect stress science, worth it if you value Zepp integration and hate subscriptions. Stay savvy out there, thanks for watching. If this review saved you from wasting money or helped you find something actually worth buying, I have put the link to check current pricing and read more reviews in the description. And hey, if you do decide to buy through my link, it helps fund these investigations without costing you extra. Drop your questions below, tell me what you want tested next, and keep an eye out for my upcoming deep dive comparing Helio versus Oura versus Ring Con head-to-head. Subscribe for the brutally honest stuff. Stay savvy and see you in the next one.